My neighborhood it's kind of historic because the same street corner that we started on, about 5 years before us, a group by the name of the Marcells actually started there. So doo-wop, like in every major city, was done on all the street corners. And we had a schoolyard that had a street light behind it, and that's because we were too young to actually hang on the corner. And then, of course, when the Marcells made it big, we went down onto their old corner, and that's where we started to sing. But I started in Woods Run area, which is the north side section of Pittsburgh. A rough section, but very neighborhood-oriented, and the people used to love to hear us sing. And when we sang in the schoolyard, they used to sit on their porches and in the evenings just to hear us do a cappella. And of course, that grew into Johnny Angel and the Halos later on, but our first group was called the Cordells. And the gentleman who lived, it was about 2 doors down from my house, his younger brother and I hung out together, and we used to play ball and the whole bit. And Steve, who was much older than Junior, started this record company called Steeltown Sound, and was looking for some artists in Pittsburgh to do some original stuff. And we were 15 years old, and the street corner went from there into playing little dances here and there, and then we had this chance to record a record. Steve Walker came to me and he said, I was writing a couple songs. He said, maybe you have some ideas for them. So we sat down and we put our taste to it and this and that. And next thing you know, we're in WRS Motion Picture Studios in Oakland recording our first record. And I was 15. And it was like, it was weird because, every time I would see a studio, I would see all these little separate rooms and everything. But this is a motion picture studio, 3 microphones, the whole band set up in there. And we recorded as the Cordells on Steeltown Sound Records, You Do a Thing to My Mind. Didn't do a whole lot in Pittsburgh. Did better upstate New York and some in Ohio and so on. It did give us some semi-touring opportunities. We played a lot in Geneva on the Lake in Ohio, and Conneaut Lake Park, and places like that, But it never really hit. At the time we were recording with Steve, it was all original stuff. We recorded 4 original songs, only 2 of them made it to vinyl. And then when we go out on the road, of course, we were doing covers of everybody else's stuff, mostly Temptations and stuff like that, early 60s soul. And of course, we'd play our 2 records. But what's crazy about it is, now you go 50 years ahead of time, and this record, which was obscure, it's like a throwaway, right? Half of Pittsburgh didn't even know we recorded, right? I get this call from a guy who owns a record store, and he said, were you in the original Cordells on Steeltown Sound Records? And I said, yeah. And he said, your record, You Do a Thing to My Mind? I said, yeah. He said, well, it's huge over in Europe. He said, they're playing it in Finland at dance clubs, and they did an article about us back when we were 15 years old, wearing our white ice cream coats and the whole bit, right? And now it's in the Northern Soul book for highly collectible soul music, and it's selling for $50 to $200, and I couldn't give copies away in Pittsburgh.